How's it going, everyone? Vlad here, and today we're going to be talking about industrial and manufacturing networks, and not from a very deep technical standpoint, but more from an architecture standpoint. So I will be sharing some of the insights that I've gotten over the years from the field. I'm going to be discussing as to why we see some of the current architectures today, and ultimately what are some of the traps or maybe some of the advantages or some of the opportunities when it comes to revamping some of the industrial networks to better architectures. Without any further delay, let's get started. So the very basic definition of a network. So what is a network in a general sense? A network is a means of exchanging information between different devices. And so if you have a home network, you probably know what I'm talking about. You have a router, you have a switch that allows multiple devices, whether that's computers, tablets, or phones, to be connected to that one single network, which then goes into the internet or the WAN, so to speak, or the wide area network in order to get information from other servers. At a plant level, let's explore the most basic network, and that's going to be your PLCs and your HMIs. So ultimately, the goal of a PLC is to be able to complete a control or process-oriented task, and it needs to connect to different devices in order to do so. And one of the most fundamental devices that you typically see a PLC connected to is an HMI. So obviously, in the older days, right, so if we're looking back at 20-30 years ago, the same protocols were not in place as they are today. So Ethernet IP was not a common protocol. So usually you'd see a lot of Data Highway Plus, and those are going to be your I2C protocols if you look under the hood or under the electronic side, and the protocols were quite different. So a lot of them were one-to-one. So you had one PLC and then one HMI, and still now you can purchase PLCs or HMIs that will talk to only one device, but they're slowly getting removed in exchange for Ethernet IP based networks. Next, you had, like I mentioned a little bit, the Data Highway Plus networks and other derivatives that are similar. Again, they're not exactly the same, but they have similar characteristics. You had control net, you had device net, you still have Profinet. So there's going to be a lot of different networks which allow to exchange information between different devices. And so ultimately, what happened is that we needed to connect more and more devices with time, because now your I/O talks over networks, your devices, your sensors can talk over networks, you want to connect remotely, and so the need to grow the network at the industrial or manufacturing site has become an increasing demand. Now, there's always this debate between OT and IT, but fundamentally, the conversation we're having today is on the OT side. So this is the controls network side. This will ultimately get to servers and what you typically see in IT, but we're not going to spend a lot of time there. So I want to go back to the basics. So we have a PLC, which is now connected at a most fundamental level to an HMI. So here I'm going to draw an HMI. And what you see now is a need, like I said, to connect to other peripherals. So this can be achieved in a couple of different ways. So a lot of times you will see a central switch to which your devices are going to connect. So here you have I/O here on the bottom, and this is going to have another port that goes to I/O. Again, I'm assuming an Ethernet IP based network. Of course, if it's Data Highway Plus, Control Net, and Device Net, those schemes are going to be different. But ultimately, this is one of the simplest interfaces that you can have for your network. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time drawing out the ports, but it's a multi-port switch that allows you to connect multiple devices. The other scheme that you'll very often see, because of the fact that PLCs are going to be brought in with machine equipment, is that PLCs will have dedicated Ethernet cards. So here you can have a separate card, and again, I can give you examples and part numbers on a lot of different lines, but they will have a separate side which can either go to a switch and then accommodate I/O devices. It can accommodate drives, VFDs, or servos, but it's going to be a segmented network from your other devices. So I want to explain the two schemes in a little bit more of a detail. So when you have a standalone machine, right? So let's assume that this PLC is going to come in a standalone machine, and I'm going to actually erase this HMI for now. All of the devices within that machine are going to be on a specific network. This is going to be your machine network, so I'm going to label this, and I don't think you can see that very well because it's behind me, but ultimately this is going to be your machine, and here you're going to have the plant side. So the plant is going to have access to the PLC only, and only using specialized software, again, this could be your Studio 5000 or TIA Portal, someone would be able to drill down to your I/O, to your drives, to your servos, and other peripherals. So that's one way to do things. You could also, like I've said, migrate all of these devices onto the plant network, and that has its own repercussions, advantages, disadvantages. So I want to go back to the point as to why we started to have networks. So number one, obviously you need the data exchange for the PLC to make those decisions. Number two, you want to be able to remotely service some of those devices. And by the way, when I say remotely, it doesn't necessarily mean from across the world. It just means, for example, within your plant, you have a bunch of terminals, right? So those are going to be your computers, and you have engineers that can very quickly respond because these terminals are on the plant network and they're connected on the same switch as some of the control system devices. They can remote into the PLC, collect data, trend, and thus reducing the time to repair or reducing the failure rate of your lines, and thus helping out whomever is doing the actual work a lot faster than if they had to pick up the computers, walk all the way down, physically plug into the machine, and then be able to service that. You can also have other advantages. So for example, as you start getting into some of your IT systems, you're going to deploy servers that can check for the software changes on your PLC, allow you to check some of the code, allow for revisions. So there's going to be other advantages. But ultimately, the third point, which is the most, I would say, important conversation today, is you're looking to get some of the data out of the machines and put them into layers like the SCADA, the MES, and ERP in order to understand better what the process is doing, in order to make business decisions as to how you allocate resources and capital for the operation. And so ultimately what's happening right now is that you see a lot of translations from very old networks, like I mentioned, Data Highway Plus, you have the elimination of device net, control net, and migrating all of that onto Ethernet IP. And what's that causing is a lot of devices are hitting the switches either on the plant floor or the machine layer, and cause a lot of problems when it comes to those devices. So ultimately, let's discuss the next step. So now you have a machine connected to the switch. You can have another machine, right? So you can obviously have an array of different machines that are going to talk to that one common switch. And so at this point, you have a network of different PLCs you can remote into from, like I said, the terminals at the plant, or from your house, for example, if you have a VPN, if you have a server. That's a whole other conversation. So the question that needs to be answered, so number one, how are you going to connect to those devices? Are you going to segment at the machine level and simply eliminate all of those IP addresses from the plant floor, and thus only allowing a connection to some of the specific devices? Typically it's going to be only PLCs and HMIs. Or are you going to allow every I/O, every servo drive, every VFD to talk to the plant floor, thus allowing these people to communicate to all of them, but at the same time flooding the network, right? So there's going to be a lot of conversations when you put, for example, a drive or even a vision systems on a plant network, how much traffic that's going to consume. And a lot of times, if it's not architected correctly, you can run into issues where, for example, safety systems are going to shut down if they don't have a heartbeat signal within a certain period of time. So ultimately, I'm going to erase this a little bit, and I'm going to give a couple of thoughts as to how I would structure some of the layouts for these specific plants. So ultimately you have two sides. You have usually the plant floor operations. This is going to be more of your IT side. This is going to be your servers, maybe some computers. And ultimately that's the plant side, and it's going to be isolated by IT. So the plant, like I said, maybe there's a server, maybe there's going to be some, office laptops. Again, that's going to be a conversation for the IT team. There's going to be large switches. Again, depending on how many you need, it's going to depend entirely on the workers. But you have a server, and this ultimately goes out to the internet, and I'm going to just draw that as a wide area network, or WAN. So that's going to be your operations from a plant standpoint. Here you have the OT network, right? So again, you have specific machines, and each one of these machines is going to be part of a line. So I'm just drawing large boxes. In my world, a lot of these machines are going to contain, at the very least, a PLC and an HMI, and they're also going to contain, like I've mentioned a couple of times, servo drives or VFDs or point I/O blocks that communicate over Ethernet. They can have some safety. So long story short, there's going to be multiple devices per machine that need to be connected onto a network. And so every single machine is going to have a number of devices that can communicate over the network, but ultimately the question should be, do those devices need to communicate with anything else outside of that machine? And if the answer is no, it is usually easier to create a switch architecture that will communicate between all of those devices and the PLC and HMI. So I'm drawing a little bit small here, but ultimately every unit is going to have a PLC and an HMI to which all of those components need to communicate. And so here, per machine, you have a PLC and an HMI that also can talk to the outside world. So here I'm going to have a larger switch, which can then consolidate the entire line. So again, this is going to have a PLC, an HMI, PLC, HMI. And typically, I like to assign VLANs. Again, this depends on how many devices you have per line. You can certainly get away with a single VLAN if it's a small enough operation, but ultimately you will have switches across your production line, and here you can say that it's a VLAN, for example, 10. This is going to be VLAN 20, and not to get into a lot of the details, but these VLANs can communicate between themselves. You can communicate from the plant to the VLANs, of course, if this goes back to the plant switch right at some point in time, but they are still segmenting the traffic that would be exchanged within the context of that machine, as well as within the context of the line. And as I've said, the reason why that is important is because some of these devices are going to be communicating a lot of data to the PLC for control system purposes that is not necessarily needed by anything at the plant level. And if you do want to extract some of that data at the plant level, I made a completely separate video as to what data contextualization is and the different layers, but ultimately it can be filtered either by the PLC or it can have a what's called a data concentrator. So data concentrator, I'm going to call it DC, and this is also going to be on the network, whether on the line side or on the IT side, it doesn't quite matter, but ultimately you will pull the data that it needs per line, per VLAN basis, and then forward that data back onto the plant switch, where you will find some of your SCADA, your MES, or ERP solutions, but it will be in a much more synchronized fashion than if you were to just pull that data directly from your VFDs, servo drives, etc. So I really hope that this paints somewhat of a clearer picture as to what I would expect or how I would segment some of the networks in existing factories. It is a little bit more complex than that, as you can imagine. A lot of these engagements start with an assessment. As I've mentioned, I have a lot of clients that have fairly old protocols, and it's not a simple rip and replace exercise. You need to understand what the current state is. You need to understand some of the goals. You need to understand how to allocate capital efficiently, because a lot of these devices, not only are they expensive, but you also do not have the luxury of incurring downtime as a result of mismanaging this architecture. So if you have any questions on the network side, if you have any questions on the architecture side as to why some of these decisions are going to be made a little bit differently on the OT side versus on the IT side, don't hesitate to reach out, don't hesitate to leave me a comment, and I'll be happy to explain some of the concepts in a little bit more detail.